nothing with ya.
All right, we're live. How you doing today, Evan?
Doing pretty good.
This is awesome, man. I'm excited.
Like I told you before, this is my first time ever doing a podcast. So
So you don't really know what to expect.
I listen to them all the time.
What's
but I've never been on one. So
what is your favorite podcast?
Well,
what is the go-to?
Yeah, I used to listen to Rogan a lot. I still do, but it's kind of hit or miss now.
Yeah.
I like Ed Milet.
Never heard of it. No,
it's like a business, personal development.
Okay.
He's like a big motivational speaker type of guy. Owns a bunch of businesses. And then I'll just bounce around and look for stuff in the, kind of the alternative health type of world.
Okay.
Jumping in cold stuff and eating stuff. People look at you and be like, dude, that's not normal. It's like, I don't want to be normal.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome statement because most people want to be normal.
I have no interest in normal anymore.
Mediocrity kills.
Yeah. That's like, I always go, you want to be the crazy one. Like, you want to be the person that's doing something that nobody else is doing, and not to make it like to sound bad, but when you go out, are you seeing what you want to be out there? Because that's not, I don't see a whole lot of happy people and that are just thriving out there.
Yeah. That's interesting because I was just having this conversation the other day with somebody, and when I was younger, I was talking about like bullying and being in school, and how, like there was always the popular people. They always kind of gravitated towards each other, but then the people who weren't part of that group would always like somehow find the group of people that weren't accepted, the nerds or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Those people now, the people that I know that were nerds in school who like the popular people look down upon, all are successful now. They've somehow managed to become something. Whereas like a lot of the popular people I knew, they're depressed, they're fat, they're overweight, they're just like and it's sad because they haven't done much with their life. And it makes me wonder if there's something in that developmental stage where they were too focused on like trying to please other people and be popular in the moment.
Yeah. When I look back at people I know from like back in the day, and the ones that are like gone out and done their own crazy things, started a business, started a restaurant, done stuff, all on their own. They didn't follow get the safe job. It's got the great benefits and all,
Right.
That's not for everybody.
No.
But the ones that I look at, they weren't the 4-point students. And it's not saying don't go get good grades, but but those are, it's almost like they had to go find their own way because they weren't going to be the ones with here's my resume that's awesome, or my transcript from school so I can get into this awesome university. It's like,
yeah,
all right, you guys aren't going to let me in. Well, I'm going to plow through everybody then and make my own way.
Right. There's something to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to figure it out.
Absolutely.
There's not opportunities. Well, okay, well, I'm going to make some then. And people are going to go, well, that's stupid. And you're going to be like, okay, in 10 years, it wasn't stupid anymore. What is it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, that is so true. I mean, you think about like some of the most top people like Elon Musk. We were talking about Teslas and how, in my opinion, I know Travis, we had talked about Travis too. He's a huge Elon Musk fan, but like, I think about the things that he's accomplished in his lifetime and innovating and everything. And he's like a pioneer in everything he does. And that just goes to show that like, he's not worried about, I'm trying to think of how I'm trying to form my thoughts here. He's not worried about being the popular one. He's not worried about what other people think. He's just worried about doing what's best for him and the human race.
So I don't know him super well, right? But obviously I've never met him or even talked to him. It's kind of cool if I did, but I remember listening to a show that he was on, and he was like, they were talking about these tunnels they built in LA or whatever.
Yeah, Las Vegas.
It was Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about it, and they're like, so what did you get? Like, how did you get them to do that? And he's like, well, there's just dig permits. It's like, what do you mean there's just dig permits? And he's like, well, you just got to get a permit to dig a certain amount down under the ground. I was like,
Wow.
what? That's all you had to do? And he's like, well, that's what the laws were. You just had to dig. You just had to get a permit to dig that deep.
Wow.
So that's just, you just kind of like, well, I'm just going to do it. Like most people,
Right.
like, they're not going to let me do that.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, what's the rule say or the law? I can just get a permit. Okay, let's just do it then.
I think for a lot of people, they limit themselves when they see a daunting task. They just think, that's too much for me. I won't do that. Whereas like there's so many, not so many, but there's a lot of people, a lot of your innovators, a lot of people like Elon Musk, a lot of people like yourself who are just like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
And they just do it. They don't allow the things that pop up as obstacles to stop them from achieving their goals.
Yeah, and you can't let other people like change your emotional state because they don't see your vision, right? I mean, if we go back 10, what's today? 2024. So let's go back 11 years. When I started my first business, I called, all I do is banging phones. So I just banging phone calls, cold calling, 150 businesses every week. And I get this guy on the phone. I'm not gonna say his name. He's a great guy and he's got a good business in town. And but he just laughed at me on the phone. And he was just like, that's never gonna work.
Wow.
Nobody's ever gonna. So I publish magazines. Nobody's ever gonna read that. Like, this is a stupid idea. Don't even waste your time doing that.
Wow.
And I get off the phone. I'm like, what if he's right? I'm like, no, forget that. I'm gonna do it anyways. So as soon as I had enough advertisers on board, I called him back. And he's like, I actually got you written down to give you a call. He's like, I saw that. He's like, why don't you come in here? I think I'm going to probably want to advertise in there.
Wow.
And I think he was with me I had those magazines rolling from 14 to 20, 21, 22.
Wow.
So I think he was with me almost the entire time, except for maybe the first 3 or 4 issues.
Wow.
Like, he just stayed on. It was like
what was the name of the magazine?
So my magazines were specific to neighborhoods.
Okay.
So I published one in White Hills Lakes and
that's so crazy.
White Hills Woods in East Lansing. And then I had another one in Okemos in the Hiawatha Lakes Spring Lake neighborhood.
Okay.
And then we had another one that we had launched right before COVID that was for people that just bought a home over a certain dollar amount. It was like over 150,000 or something. And it got mailed to them. It was kind of like a new movers guide. So,
okay.
kind of things to do in land, kind of like you said, the 517 page that Sarah does.
Yeah.
It was kind of that in print, that they got mailed to their house. And then we had ads and we had, restaurant things in there and just different things that you could do in the Lansing area that somebody, if they just moved here, would want to know.
That's cool.
So yeah, and then the neighborhoods were just about the people that lived there.
So did you sell the one in White Hills to somebody?
So I didn't sell it.
Okay.
I do know the person that now runs it.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. Yeah. So
well, I don't know him. I know somebody that knows him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was an advertiser back in the day.
Okay.
Probably within the first year or two, he was on board. He had a mosquito company, and he, I don't know, probably advertised for a couple of years, 2-3 years. I think he got out of that business and then was doing some other stuff. And he reached out to me maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. He was like, hey man, can we just grab coffee? And I'd like to pick your brain. I think I want to get this rolling again, that what you had going. So,
wow.
I haven't even seen a physical copy of it because people that get it live there.
Right.
But yeah, so I haven't talked to him in probably quite a few months. But
so do you still own that business?
No.
Okay.
No, those were franchises.
Oh, okay.
So the company was called N2 Publishing, and now it's called N2 Company because they've got a lot of different types of magazines. So they rebranded the whole thing.
Okay.
But yeah, that company's been in business for 20 years now. They have
wow.
magazines all over the United States.
Wow.
Realtor magazines, neighborhood, like HOA magazines.
Yeah.
New mover magazines. I think they have some medical stuff. They're just always test marketing new stuff. And
that's interesting because like it seems like magazines would just kind of died a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I first saw it. we were camping with some friends, and she's telling us about this. I started this magazine in this neighborhood in Rockford. I'm like, started a magazine in a neighborhood in Rockford. And then I was delivering packages at the time, and I got a message in my inbox from like a Monster or one of those career builders or something. And it said magazine publisher. I was like, that's weird. So I clicked it and I sent it to her, and she's like, yeah, this is what I do.
Oh,
You
wow.
should do one in Lansing. And, okay. So I kind of talked to her for a little bit, and I walked in the door that day, and I said to Megan, I'm like, hey, so I think I want to do that magazine thing that Jody's doing. She's like, are you being serious? I'm like, yeah. She's like, all right, then do it. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of my first, like, okay, so I'm going to do my own business. And
Wow. And then how did that take off? What was it like?
it was extremely hard. It was
Was it
probably the hardest thing I ever did was to start that first one.
really?
Yeah. Cause you have nothing. So I'm like, like come in and like after I've cold called 150 businesses, I've got 10 to 15 meetings that week. I'm coming in with a magazine from California. And I'm like, hey, I'm going through it. I'm like, see? And can you imagine that if you lived in this neighborhood and there's a story about the pet that you saw down the road, like you'd be reading this.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I mean, and it's a black and white version of a magazine that's, I don't even know,
Right.
5.5 hours away on an airplane.
Right.
And I mean, it's just like, yeah, it sounds good, man. Why don't you just call me next week? Yeah, why don't you just call me? Just a lot of those. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's definitely doing it. And then it's like ghost, you're never getting. So then you finally hit the point where you're fed up with just call me. So then you start like, well, what's holding you back? And then you start learning how to get rid of objections and nail it down and let's do the deal today.
Right.
And then once I remember getting that first deal, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm like shaking writing the contract. It's 5 weeks into it, and I've seen what 70 businesses at this point.
Wow.
All nothing.
Wow.
And the guy's like, oh, let's do it. I'll just do a 3-year contract. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna do it. I'm like, and then the next one, I think I sold the next one for like the biggest contract, maybe not the biggest ever, but like by far launching. And it was like, oh my gosh, we got this thing rolling.
Wow.
Then I think I closed 8 in a row to finish it, to like get it launched where we were in profit and ready to go.
Wow.
But dude, it was like really tough. And I was delivering during the time.
Oh,
so this is what I would do. I didn't tell the corporate company that I was doing the franchise that I was doing it this way, but I would get up in the morning and leave the house at 5:00 in the morning, get in my delivery vehicle and I would listen to sales presentations for like an hour until I got to my first delivery. And then after that, I had a sheet that my wife and I would do every single night of 40 to 60 businesses. And I would cold call them in between every single stop with a Bluetooth in my ear. And then if somebody was like, yeah, I could do next week at 2:00, I like have my notepad over here. I'm like trying to write it down. Then when I'd stop, I get my calendar out and put it in there. I did that for August, September, October, November. I think I left that in end of November. So I did 3.5, 4 months of just banging phone calls. And then I'd get done and I'd fly back to Mason, shower, dress up, and then go do 4 or 5 appointments every afternoon. Just boom, 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 boom. And it was terrible.
Do you think that was needed though? Like it was formative for you to be successful in future ventures and
yeah.
Yeah.
You got to learn that stuff. Like you got to get punched in the face. You got to, if you're going to start something, you got to realize that most people aren't buying into it.
Right.
But you just got to find the right ones.
Yeah.
And then once you have something and you believe in it, and then you've got other people that believe in it, and then you can build a network and you can start to meet people. That's when things get not easy, but they get a little bit easier. Right. Then you can use your network and they trust you, and then they're going to introduce you to other people that they know.
Right.
That's how I've always done business here, is just to get to know as many people as I can.
Yeah.
And try to do the best job. I mean, not everybody loved advertising with me. I mean, I mean, it's advertising, right?
Yeah.
But we had a really high renewal rate. especially in the advertising world. So
Wow.
it was, people either liked what we were doing or they were getting results, or, they wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So, but getting to know people, I think you got to grind because nobody knows you,
Yep.
especially when you come out of nowhere.
Right.
And then once you get there, you got to do what you said you're going to do. Then you got to meet as many people as you can.
That's kind of how it was for me when I started the podcast. When I first started, I had the podcast studio out there on purpose because I knew that it would be difficult to get people into my home, let alone to go into my basement
Yeah.
to do the podcast.
Hey, you want to come over and go to my basement for the podcast?
Yeah, I remember like the first couple women that came, they would like walk. I'd walk down the stairs first, and I'd wait for them, and then they're just kind of like looking around, like, "What's going on here?" And they just see like a closed off area with curtains, and they're like, "Oh boy!" But yeah, no, it's you got to get it. Just you have to get out there, build the trust, and then build a network, and then once you do, people trust you, and then they'll come back for your services. So like now for me, it's not even an issue.
No.
People, I don't even tell people it's in my basement.
Yeah. No, I don't care.
I don't think about it.
I mean, we don't even know each other that well.
Right.
Like we met a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
But you were with people that I know and trust.
Right.
And you're just like, hey, you want to do the podcast? Heck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never done one before.
But you're good at it. And maybe you should start one.
Like I told you before we got on here, I can have conversations with people all day long.
Yep.
But this is weird because it's getting recorded.
But
so when I say something stupid, it's there forever. If I say something that's just you and I hanging out,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
I can always deny it.
You can still deny it.
That's true.
That's not what I meant. Yeah, no, that's the thing though. Like so many people get nervous with a podcast, and I guess I'm used to it because I'm always in front of the camera, but I just don't think about it. I don't even look at the cameras. I just feel like I'm in a conversation with you.
Yeah, it's something that you just have to get through the uncomfortable, right?
Right.
I mean, just with anything though.
Yeah.
Like you showed me your cold plunge out there, and I've got one in my house, and it's like, that's not awesome. Now I'm to the point where it's not awful. So it's not awful anymore. Like I can get in and stand there for 4 to 5 minutes and I'm fine.
Yeah.
But you just have to push through it. Like we were talking about social media people that just have that camera in their face all day long.
Yeah.
Dude, I can do it, but I haven't,
Right.
We were talking about that with my wife, and she was on a call last week with somebody, and they have a TikTok page. It's just blown up, and it's like been great for their business. And she's like, you just need to take your phone everywhere you go,
record
every place you go into, point out what businesses are doing great in accessibility, and have your face on it. And it's just all the time. And people will start to like, she's like, don't sell your business, make your page informative. People want to see it. They want to, then they start to feel like they know you. And she's like, and she's like, oh, it's terrifying. This is your face online where anybody can see it.
Right. But again, I mean, that goes back to what we were saying. You just don't care.
You just have to not care.
You have to not care. Just put it out there, and it is what it is. And if somebody likes it, fine. If they don't, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, but it's hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard, especially getting started, because you're like thinking like, how is this going to reflect my business? What are people going to think about it? But at the end of the day, I think people will respect it.
Yeah, I think so. You look at, I'm not going to repeat the words that Dana White uses, but like when you look at some of the things he says, he's just like, I don't care. And that's the thing about me, is I just don't care what you think.
Right.
And you see it in his press conferences. Like somebody attacks him and he just is basically like, I'm not going to let you change me in like what this company is by attacking me.
Right.
And I'm not saying Dana's one way or the other, right or wrong or whatever, but he just has that, I don't care. I'm going to do what I need to do.
Right. I think that's important for any business owner, to just not care what other people think. Just do what you need to do in order to be successful. Speaking of Dana White, did you see that he walked out of Howie Mandel's podcast?
Dude, was that staged or was that real?
I don't know.
That was crazy.
That was great. He said,
it was so awkward.
He's like, I'm tired of doing podcasts. And I don't know if it was real or not. And if it is real, I don't know why he did it. I think it might have been the fact that Howie Mandel seemed odd. Like he was asking, like he was.
Howie's a little. I know he's got some like quirky things, but the whole thing was very like when he said, "I'm done doing podcasts." I thought he was going to be like, "This is my last one."
Right. That's what
and
I thought.
He's just like, forget you.
And then he just stood up and walked out.
He's gone.
And Howie Mandel's like, what the fuck?
That was, yeah. I didn't see the podcast, but I saw a clip of it on like TikTok or something.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And I was like, oh my gosh. He really just walked out on it. I mean, they're all just, and they thought maybe they did it as a stunt, but I don't think Dana White cares about making a stunt. Like,
No.
Is he going to go, yeah, I'll come out there and sit in your studio and pretend for a few minutes and then just get to walk out? No, I've got a million things to do. I'm not flying out to do a.
Yeah, he's a serious businessman.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't see that happening. It's just weird though. It was a weird moment.
It was.
Because like you obviously went there to do the podcast. Why not just stick through it? I guess. I don't know.
He must have also had something that was just, like some big fire somewhere at one of his companies or something. It just, and he just was like, I can't do this right now. Like, I'm just done with these. Like I'm wasting so much time flying around, talking on people's podcasts.
Yep.
I just can't do it anymore.
I think that's
I'm stopping right now.
I think that's what's cool though about being like knowing your worth in a sense of like, I don't need to do this. I don't have to do this and I won't do it. And just getting up and leaving. There's something to that too.
Yeah. And what value, I've never listened to Howie Mandel's podcast, but what is the value of that podcast to people?
Right.
There's people that are making a huge difference with their podcasts, like the Ed Milet, who you should look it up. I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
The dude's making a huge difference in people's lives, like listening to his show. So he's bringing a ton of value. Is Howie Mandel show bringing people a ton of value, or is it just more of an entertainment? Is it more of like a Howard Stern interview type of? I think there's nothing wrong with that.
It's like a comedy type of just fun, whatever kind of podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is he going to sit on there and change people's lives?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he just didn't think it was worth it. And I'm out of here.
Yeah. I mean, especially when he can just go to Joe Rogan or something.
Yeah. And reach
millions,
way more people. Right. I mean, I think they get like 11, 12 million downloads per episode,
which is insane,
which is so funny.
I just want one of those.
What kills me is when he gets on his tangents about the media. It's so funny.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Because
you just dogs him. Like they had 750,000 people on all their shows last night. He's like, mine had 12 million downloads yesterday. Like, so you can say whatever you want, but I'm dominating right now.
Yeah, it's fun. I heard him say recently something similar, but he was like, I could go on a live stream right now on Instagram and get more people to watch than CNN got all week. Well, it's like, what? But it's so true. I mean, nobody's paying attention to the media at all. Even like, unfortunately, but like even locally, I don't know how many people pay attention to like the news.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like, do more people tune into like news articles than sit down and watch the news? Because nobody watches the news.
I'd like to see demographics on that. I don't think like our age, we don't have time.
Right.
Because I've got 2 kids.
Yeah.
And we're at a practice or a game or we're lifting weights, or we're doing something all evening, every single night of the week.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's the 65-year-olds that are.
It would have
their kids are moved out and they've got grandkids, but they're not over, very often. And they are retired and they just want to see what's going on in Lansing. So I'd like to see those numbers, but it's just the same with, it's like print media. I mean, who's, we get the newspaper because we have kids in sports, so we like to stay up on top of that stuff. But I don't know. When I've got a phone that I can just click a button and there it all is in 3 seconds.
Yeah. And that's another thing is people's attention spans. Nobody's, even for like podcasts like this, nobody, like, it's hard to get people to sit through an hour podcast because it's a lot. It's a long time. Whereas like if you clip something up, you can get thousands of views.
Yep.
Like I've put out little clips of episodes and thousands of views on TikTok, just on TikTok. I was like, what?
Yeah, because
Why do
everybody's
I?
attention span keeps going like this.
Right,
It's just that 3 seconds,
right.
3 seconds, 3
Little
seconds. And then you get one that's like,
5 minutes. You're
oh,
like,
or they like draw you in a little bit and you're like, all right. And then you're like a minute into it and you're like, this isn't going to give me anything. It's just going to stop. So you just move on.
yep.
Like you just don't even have the patience. They had you sucked in and then you're like, no, I'm not doing it.
Now you are. I don't know much about you and like your routine. I do know that you're pretty disciplined. Like you obviously do the cold plunge every single day, right? Every day.
Mostly. Yeah.
And you work out.
Yep.
What is your daily routine like? Do you work out before your day gets started?
Yeah. I have to.
Yeah.
So I get up. So I've been trying to get up a little bit later because I wear one of these Aura rings.
Oh,
Have
okay.
you ever seen one of these things?
No, I haven't, but I've
Those
heard of
little
them.
like sensors and stuff in it.
Okay.
I've had it for probably 4 years now. But it reads your activity and recovery and sleep and all this stuff.
Okay.
My sleep is not awesome. And we still go to bed pretty good. Like I want to be in bed at 9:30.
Yeah, that's good.
But if you get up at 5:00 a.m., it's not ideal.
Right.
So I've been trying to push it back a little bit, but I usually just get up. Right now I'm getting up at 5:45. I get up at 5:45. My 14-year-old comes down at 5:50, goes right downstairs. I go down with him. He jumps in the cold plunge.
Oof.
Boom, he's in. And then he gets up and he goes up and gets ready for school. Then I come up and I do some like reading and some journaling and stuff like that. And then usually around 6:45, 7:00, I go down, I get in the cold plunge. And sometimes I got to hit it with a hat or a axe or whatever to break into it in the winter. I had to buy a heating element this winter because there was so much ice. I couldn't even, there was like no water left.
I seen the video or the photo you
It was
posted.
so bad. So I went up to Family Farm and Home and got this heating element they use for like a farm.
Right.
So it doesn't freeze over. Do that. And then I go straight from the cold into my weight room that's in the basement. And I do anywhere from 40 to an hour workout. And I let my body warm up through that workout. And then I have a sauna down there. And then I do 25, 30 minutes in the sauna.
Wow.
And that one's about 160 degrees.
Okay.
So it's pretty uncomfortable for the last 5 minutes.
How long have you been doing that routine?
So I started doing cold stuff way before everybody else did.
Before it was cool.
Before it was cool. Not like 20 years or anything. But I went to a conference in, I think it was 2017, and this guy got up and talked about choosing to do one thing every month for 12 months that makes you super uncomfortable. He was like, just take a cold shower every single day for 12 or for 1 month out of the year. And I was like, I'm doing that for a full year. So I didn't take a single warm shower for a full year.
Whoa.
It was awful.
Yeah,
because I almost think a cold shower is worse than just jumping.
It is worse
because it's just kind of sporadic,
right.
Cold hitting you,
and then as you turn, you get the cold shock.
It's so
over
bad.
and over and over again.
So I did that back in 2017, and then I just started filling my bathtub up with the coldest water I could do. And in the winter, it was 48 degrees or something.
That's
like
cold.
that. So it was really cold. So I started doing it back then. That's kind of how I got into doing that. And then my wife bought we've got that big stainless steel 150-gallon horse trough.
Yeah.
It's out on our walkout patio of the basement. And we got that last Christmas-ish. I want to say it was right after the holiday.
Okay.
And I filled it up. And I mean, I bet I do it 90, I don't know, 5% of the time.
Wow.
Like I didn't do it this morning.
Right.
We got back late from a soccer game, had to get up early for a soccer game. I was like, dude, I'm not cutting it short. But I might do it tonight.
Right.
So sometimes we get in the hot tub at night and it's right next to the hot tub. We do
cool.
a little back and forth in that thing.
That's cool.
Yep.
There's a place I think I told you about in Grand Rapids that you can do hot and cold therapy. Yeah. They have a sauna and then they have a cold plunge, so you can go back and forth.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I did it. So do you know Adam Goss?
No.
So Goss he works with Dark Bank.
Okay.
Commercial side. And Goss and I went to the U Club, or not the U Club, the Mac.
Okay.
Went to the Mac probably a couple months ago, and dude, it was so bad. We did the sauna for about 25 minutes. So we started with the hot, which I don't know if you've ever started with really hot for that long, and then you
No.
go directly into cold.
No. Don't do it.
I almost blacked out once in my house. I thought I was going to die. I had to crawl out of my tub. I went 25 minutes in my sauna into the cold tub upstairs into the bathtub, and I blacked out kind of. I think my blood pressure dropped so fast.
Wow.
I had to crawl out of the tub, and I was like, dude, I messed myself up. I did something really bad. Like I can't even raise my head.
Oh my
And I laid there for
gosh.
15 minutes to like
Warm up.
yep, and then I was fine. But we did it
Wow.
there, and we jumped into the cold. And I was in there, and I had to crawl out and sit. And then Adam's like, all right, now we're getting in the steam room.
Oh my god.
I had to walk with my hands on the wall because I thought I was going to fall over. All the way there. My body was so weak, but got in there, did that for, I don't know, what do we do, 20, 25 minutes. And we got back into the cold again for another, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes or whatever it was. It was brutal.
That's intense.
Yeah, that hot to cold. If you go cold to hot, it's completely different.
Yeah.
But you go a long time in hot, and then you literally have to be careful. Like you could black out
Right.
and die. I mean, you black out in the water, you go underneath. So
yeah,
you gotta be careful.
do you do those things to try to push yourself, or what was the purpose of going that long
What in the
hot, in the cold?
with Goss?
Yeah.
Because he's insane, and that's what we're doing. So of course I'm not gonna not do it. I'd rather die in there. I'm not gonna not do it. Sorry, you can do it, Adam. I'll just be sitting out here waiting for you. Forget that. No, I don't know. I knew it was going to be bad, but I did it anyways.
That's so funny. You remind me so much of myself, because I don't back down from things like that.
No.
If somebody's doing it, I'm like, I'm doing it too.
If somebody does it, or if somebody tells me I can't, tell me I can't do it.
How much prove you wrong?
Now it's on.
I don't like being challenged.
That's why I don't work for anybody.
Mm.
Because if I have to have somebody tell me what to do, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna go do the opposite thing every single time.
So how has your routine, your morning routine, and your working out, how has that affected your business and you being successful? Do you think it plays a pretty significant role?
Yeah. I mean, if you can do jumping in an ice tub at 33 degrees, dude,
That's cold.
It's so cold. Or if you have to break 4 inches of ice to get into it,
just to get into something.
I
that
mean,
makes you suffer.
if you can do that, and you don't have to, like, you could easily just go,
right.
I'm not doing this. Like, nobody's gonna know.
Right.
Like, nobody's gonna know that I didn't do it today. But if you can do that, like, if you can call people on the phone, you can send cold emails, you can do uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That stuff's not even that uncomfortable anymore.
No.
So you just gotta like stretch yourself out. Somebody said it once, it's like a rubber band. So if you take a rubber band and it's like pretty tight, and the more you stretch it, then its normal starts to be stretched a little bit.
Right.
And you keep stretching it out and stretching it out and stretching it out. So I do it a lot for the mental part, but then there's all the health stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have the list of things in front of me.
Right.
And some people be like, that's garbage. That's all just made up. Like, I mean, you can keep saying that, but
it helps.
I feel awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel amazing, especially right afterwards. Yeah, I think the level of mental difficulty, like when things seem hard, it changes what's considered hard, at least for me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like talking to people, like sometimes like doing podcasts, I'm just like, man, I don't want to. Like it just difficult. Sometimes it's difficult to like just have a conversation with people. But like I feel like doing something that is inherently hard every single time, consistently hard. It's not ever easier. Like it's always difficult. It get like my mental strength becomes easier. Like the ability to get into it is easier. But as far as like suffering through it, it changes what you're capable of, I think.
I mean, look at anybody who's grown these massive businesses who've been super successful. That's all they ever say is do the uncomfortable stuff.
Right.
So if you want to get there, you need to be following what other people have done to get there.
Right.
Like I never understand that when people are taking advice from somebody that hasn't, just try. my buddy Bill, he said that that's not good for me. Not to be mean, but Bill's 350. Don't take health advice
Yeah.
from somebody who's not healthy.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
take business advice from somebody who hasn't started and grown a business, you know? Not every path is the same, obviously. Like you can probably find somebody that says, "Oh, I'd recommend doing it this way," but
Right.
find people that are doing what you're trying to do
Yeah.
and start doing that.
Right.
And maybe your path is a little bit different. Maybe
Yeah.
you don't want to do the same exercises as Bobby, but if you start doing that, and then you can realize that, yeah, I'm starting to enjoy this, but maybe I should do this too, or add this in. And
Right.
I think the trick is to learn. I was telling my wife this yesterday. I need to figure out how to write a book, and I don't have any any background in psychology whatsoever. But how can you get people to start to enjoy doing the things that they need to do that will make them better? So you look at fitness, or let's just use fitness. Most people hate it. They hate it.
Yep.
How are you going to keep doing that for 30 years if you hate it?
Right.
It's impossible. It's like the person that's going to eat healthy now.
Yeah.
They want to stop at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And they're going to drive past 17 of them on the way home.
Yeah.
You've got to learn how to enjoy
The
and
process.
looking forward to doing that.
Yep.
And then you're going to be successful at it.
Right.
You have to.
I think a lot of that comes with moderation too, because like when a lot of people start working out, they just jump right in,
Just go crazy.
They go crazy, and then they're like, they burn themselves out, and they're like, I can't do this. And it's the same thing with dieting. People will start eating salads, and it's like, dude, you have to like eat regular food too.
Yeah.
I mean, treat yourself every once in a while. Don't treat yourself every single day for every single meal.
Yeah, you don't need a cheat meal right before bed every single night.
No, but you know, it's not bad to have pizza every now and then. It's not bad to eat those things, but you also, like, one thing I try to do is I work a job, so you know, like, I eat healthy at work every single day, no matter what. That's non-negotiable. So when I get out of work, maybe there's like a day or two where I eat something that's bad. Maybe I'll have burgers or something. That's not bad for you. It's not bad to do that every once in a while.
I've actually tried, because I'm wired, I think, a little bit different than a lot of people. I'm either turn the dial all the way to 100 or turn it off. Like there's no in between, but I've gotten better.
That's how I am.
I'm
too.
like started to be able to turn it down a little bit. So I'm almost intentionally trying to have a cheat day, or a cheat once a week or something. Like,
right.
I'll just get but it's not like I'm eating an entire gallon of ice cream. You know?
You're not having rock cheat meals.
Yeah, I'm just doing like like this whole thing's full of pizza, you know? But like almost intentionally trying to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
I'm kind of wired weird though, but I also am not going to eat salad.
No,
Like I'm not doing that.
Well,
like
it's not healtky.
No, like
it's not proven to be healthy whatsoever.
You know, I could go down that thing, and I probably would need to turn this thing off if people get mad. But could go down the route of what's healthy and what's not. But yeah, you just, if I'm going to lose weight, so all I'm going to do is eat 200 calories worth of lettuce
and with dipped in ranch.
Like it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's not the way to do it.
No, it's not. And you have to have whole foods. You have to have meat and protein.
Yeah. Fat. I know.
Yep. Have you ever done the carnivore diet?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you like it?
I do. I always get to a weird, like I was telling my buddy this the other day. I can't find that perfect dial. Like if I do carnivore, I get like so lean. I mean, like 6-pack ripped lean, but then I get a little bit weaker.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, so I'm going to add let's add some carbs back in. And I'm not like eating pasta or anything, but even if I throw in like some dark chocolate, you know, like 85% or higher, and I'll have, 40, 50 grams of that and increase my carbon or my calories a little bit. It's like, then I start getting stronger, but then I get a little layer of fat over here. I'm like, can't I just do the stronger and keep it lean? But I'm like, I can't ever get that balance. It's either I'm going to be really lean, but then get a little bit weaker, or I'm going to get stronger, but then I'm going to get a little bit chubby in my stomach.
Oh, that's so frustrating too.
But carnivore, I felt awesome.
Yeah. How long did you do it for? Are you still doing it?
I actually just restarted back today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was like, I'm going to do it until another 4 or 5 weeks. So
Okay.
like the longest I've ever done it, man, I don't know, maybe like 6 months.
Wow.
I mean, I got really lean.
Yeah.
Like you could see veins like everywhere. It's kind
Oh,
of
wow.
crazy.
Wow.
But yeah. Yeah.
I did carnivore for a while. I don't even know how long it was. And I trained for an ultra marathon,
Ooh.
and that was a mistake
Yeah.
because you need carbs
Oh,
when you're running that
your
much.
muscles are down to nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I was still strong. Like I was lifting and running a lot, but I think my running suffered. I got really injured during not during, but like it just if I don't know. I didn't wasn't really injured, but like the the impact on everything was just I don't know. It was bad. But then when I trained for my last marathon, I introduced carbs and I started eating like just chicken and rice
Yeah.
all the time. And I got really actually that's a picture from the marathon.
Oh yeah.
Um I got pretty cut there.
Yeah.
And I was strong too. I was lifting weights and running a lot.
I think everybody's a little bit different too.
Yeah.
I tried to do I mean, this is a long time ago. I'm gonna say 2012-ish. I tried to do vegan for
Really?
6 or 9 months.
Whoa.
Dude, I got so weak. I felt terrible.
Were you
And
doing it healthy?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't like pizza and I mean it was all beans and lentils and chickpeas and
Wow.
I mean I just felt terrible after a
What
while.
made you want to do vegan?
I don't know. I'm always the type of person I got to try it on my own. Like I'm not the research says that
Right.
this. I'm like, well, that doesn't work because I can tell how I feel. If
Right.
somebody
Yeah.
tries to convince you that like, you're like, well, I feel awesome. So I'm pretty sure this is the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, I did it and I just ran out of gas. I had
Wow.
nothing.
And were you working out and everything
Yep.
then too?
Yep.
Wow.
I was just like, this isn't for me. So I switched back to just, I ate a lot of meat.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing carnivore back then, and that probably wasn't
Right.
even
So it wasn't
a
really
thing. I don't
yeah.
know. That's been popular. What, maybe 5 years
Yep.
at the most,
Yeah.
5 6 years.
Wow.
But I've done, vegetables
Mhm.
don't really make me feel awesome.
I
Like
I
I get bloated.
yeah, they cause inflammation.
Yep.
Yep.
So I just don't eat very many of them. And
Yeah.
people will freak out about that.
You don't need to. I
Oh,
don't.
yeah. I'm
I don't
like,
really eat vegetables.
if I'm gonna have some carbs, it'll be maybe some berries
Mm. Yeah.
or like some really high percentage dark chocolate. That's about it. I eat tons of eggs,
Yep.
tons of chicken, tons of red meat. That's
You're a total meathead.
that's what I do though.
That's awesome.
But I feel better.
Right.
So why would I
Why
do
would you change it
yeah,
up?
when they're like, no, you should eat this way. I'm like, but I
Right.
don't feel as good.
Right.
I have a personal experience that I can
Yeah.
see how I feel. I
And
don't know why I would do that.
right. And you experienced like a vegan diet, so you know that it wasn't beneficial for you.
And
And
maybe you can pull it off. I mean, there's people that do, but you probably have to supplement like crazy.
yeah.
And then like that's expensive, especially to get real supplements that your body can actually
Right.
use
Right.
and not just like right through you and
Well,
there's nothing absorbed.
and then you need to get blood work done and make sure everything's working properly. Yeah, it's an issue. And most of your vegans don't eat healthy.
Not that I've experienced,
No.
but you see people that do it and they can pull it off.
Yeah.
Um, and you see
But they're
different,
tired.
you see different, you sleep all the time. I'm just kidding. No, I actually know somebody who is a vegan that's super healthy.
Yeah. I
And
actually know
they
some
do a
too.
ton of fitness stuff.
Yeah.
And they work with people. But they probably have it so stinking dialed in for themselves.
Right.
And I don't know. it just doesn't work for me. So
No.
I'm not doing it.
I think it also has a lot to do with like what what kind of activities you're doing. Like if you're weightlifting, powerlifting, doing those kind of things, endurance based stuff, it's more than likely not going to be beneficial to eat a vegan diet
Yeah.
unless you're supplementing, and you have to supplement tremendously.
Yeah. And there's there's different reasons why people do it too.
Right.
So you can get into that.
Right.
And people can do whatever they want. I don't really care what other people
I don't care.
I don't
Do
care.
what works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care what other people do.
No.
That's fine. I mean, if you want to ask my opinion, I'll give it to you. But
Yeah.
if you're doing awesome, keep being awesome, you know?
Speaking of doing awesome, so your business, ever since I met you, you seem to be kind of making headway. Tell me a little bit about your business. It's called I'm I'm kind of confused. But
Yeah.
So you have Able Eyes and then AbleVu.
Yeah.
What are the two different? Are they under the same umbrella?
Nope. So 2 businesses, you're right. One is Able Eyes. 2 words, Able Eyes. We started that business back in 2017. My wife Megan, this was all her idea. She was a teacher for 7 years, and then she was a consultant for the school district, assistive tech coordinator, and then she was an assistant principal in a school in Jackson. And when she was in the classroom, she had a ASD classroom. So it was all children on the autism spectrum. And she went to a conference in Chicago many years ago and saw a virtual tour. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the thing that could change the lives for families with kids on the spectrum that don't go to new places. Because Megan loves to travel. Like if we had unlimited money,
Mhm.
it would just be, she would just want to explore everywhere in the world. Like that's what she loves doing.
That's
She
cool.
wants to go to new restaurants. She wants to go to Hawaii and then go to Bali. And I mean, that's what
Right.
she would want to do. But she was seeing that families with kids in her classroom weren't going to new places. And it was because of there's some difficulties with transitions and going to new places. So what she would do in the classroom, if they were going to go on a field trip a couple weeks before, they would put together a booklet that had pictures of the places that they were going to go to, and they'd explain it to them and show them what to expect when they got there. She's like, this literally does that.
Wow.
And it could be for anything. It could be for a restaurant. It could be for a park.
Wow.
It could be for a zoo. It could any type of place that you could go to. So she came back and didn't do anything with it. Taught for more years, became an assistant principal. And then in 2017, I was at a B&I group meeting, and another business that I knew, they were talking about virtual tours. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like Megan needs to meet them. So I ended up getting them connected, and she ended up doing this. She's like, let's do it. So she left the classroom or the administration in 2017 at the end of that summer and just went all in on it. And the other part of her story is in college, one of her best friends, Jess, was a wheelchair user, and she lived with Jess.
Oh wow.
And so she had that firsthand experience in college that you can't just go to a place,
Right.
like get dropped off by some, taxi.
Right.
And then what if they couldn't get in? So they had to know that they could get in at a place. I mean, they were at Central Michigan. What if it's raining and it's in January?
Right.
You're just sitting outside waiting 40 minutes for a taxi to come back and get
Oof.
you. So, so she had that experience with Jess, and Jess unfortunately passed in 2015, I think it was. But those things helped like kind of kick her in the butt and like, let's go. So she launched the Able Eyes, which is a virtual tour photography company. When we originally launched it, we had a map, and it's still on the website, but the website needs to get completely redone and kind of refocus. But it had a map, and what we did is all the virtual tours that we filmed went on there. Plus, it was like a search platform. So we found virtual tours in California and in Colorado and Florida, and we were putting links to those on there. So anybody from anywhere in the US could find a virtual tour
Oh wow.
on our website. And then we also had what we call how-to videos. So we were having people submit how-to videos on how to tie your shoe and how to brush your teeth. And so families that were using our site to look at places could also show their kids how to do some life skill stuff.
Oh, cool.
And I think that actually has done very well as far as visitors. The how-to videos,
Driving traffic.
yeah, I think a lot of teachers use them. So
Okay.
they're showing them to kids. So 17 until 2022, we were down in Florida, and it was kind of funny. We were down Miami Beach, 5 minutes. You know who Grant Cardone is?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so
Yep.
he lives right there,
Yeah.
and we're at a buddy's place, and we were talking about him. So obviously, Facebook doesn't listen to us. So ads start popping up,
Yep.
and he has this pitch petition, and it's for tech companies. So Megan's like, "Should I do this?" I'm like, "Yes, just do it. Like, what's the worst that happens? They
Right.
don't reply to you. Who cares? You don't know any of these people.
Yeah.
Whatever." So she goes in and pitches AbleEyes, and she goes through and she like makes it through the 3 or 4 rounds of this thing, does all the due diligence, all the fun attorney stuff, and then what at the end of the day they came up with, what's holding AbleEyes back from just scaling and growing all across the US and the world? Well, it's boots on the ground, people filming. So what could we do to make this company take off? Well, what we decided to do is start a completely new company. So AbleEyes is still a virtual tour photography company, and we do it from the lens of accessibility. So we want to show into restrooms. We want to show entrances and ramps and how high, how many high top and low top tables are in a restaurant, and we want to show everything so people can get the experience.
Right.
But the new company is AbleVu. So think of Yelp for accessibility information.
Mm.
So what we did is we started the second company, and businesses register on there, and they have the ability to put links to their virtual tour. So that's still a part of it. But
Okay.
what we found is virtual tours they're not super expensive, but they're not cheap, right? I mean,
Right.
we've got to go there, we've got to film, we've got to edit. There's a lot to it. So it's not just a, hey, here's $29, so
Right.
there's a lot of small businesses that might not have the budget to have us come in and film.
Right.
But that's still an option on AbleView. And then what we did below it was we made it so maybe a business can't afford to have a virtual tour, but they can put 36 still photos on their profile with text information so somebody can read about, like, here's the accessible restroom, here's what the entrance looks like, here's the stall, so you can see where the handrails, like what side those are on. You can see if there's a family restroom.
So when they're looking for this, would they go to that business's website, or how does that work? Or would they go to your website?
Yeah, so what we did is we took that map from AbleEyes and we moved it
Uh-huh.
over to AbleView.
Okay.
So now there's a map on there, and you could go to, and you can just type in Lansing, Michigan. Just type it in.
On your website.
Yep, on
Okay.
ableview.com. It's ABLEVU.com. And you could just go to the search, type Lansing, Michigan. And I'm guessing we have over 100 businesses on there in Lansing, probably somewhere in there. Let's say you want to go to Potter Park.
Mm-hmm.
Click Potter Park Zoo's profile.
Yep.
And it boom opens up. There's their logo, business description. They do have virtual tours on there. If you scroll down, keep going. And this is all getting, right there, explore map. Click that. Yep, right there. We're overhauling this too, and I'll tell you a little bit about that as
So
well.
this is nationwide then?
Yeah. Yep. We're not doing anything internationally just yet. The plan is to, though. So we'll have that in version 2 maybe,
Okay.
because we're going through the middle of a capital raise right now to take this to another level. So
That's awesome.
That's the next fun thing that we're doing. But yeah, so you can see this is what we would call this is like a no code.
The internet's slow.
Yeah, it's fine. Sometimes when you got something streaming on there too, kind of like we're doing the podcast. But it's a no code platform to keep the money really cheap. We wanted to be able to test this,
Okay.
get some data, make sure that there's a market for this before we really dive in and put in some money. So you can see,
So
if you go to,
these are the businesses
yeah,
in Michigan.
In the US.
Oh, okay.
There's usually a map that hasn't popped up that's on the left there, that square, that white square. But yeah, if type in the search there and do Potter Park Zoo, and you'll be able to see theirs is probably one of the better profiles on here.
So you don't go film every business. They take pictures and they'll upload them, and then they insert all their stats or whatever.
Yeah, they
their
can put all their
information.
Yep. So you can see here across the top, they
Okay.
have those are the virtual tour links. Those blue
Okay.
ones. Yeah. So if you click one, you don't have to, but it'll open up a virtual tour of the feline building. And then all these image sections are in here, and there's 6 sections, and you can put up to 6 photos in each section and put a description for each one.
So essentially, AbleVu is a database for businesses to be able to showcase their accessibility for people with
Disabilities.
disabilities.
So, and what we wanted to do with it is we don't want to make it. So when I say it's like Yelp, there are no negative reviews in here. What we envision is a platform that celebrates the businesses that are willing to share the information that they have.
Okay.
So what we found is a lot of businesses hear the word accessibility or ADA, and all they think of is, oh no, I'm gonna have to put in this $50,000 elevator, or I'm gonna have to,
right.
and they just. But what we want to do is have a platform where people can get the information that they're looking for, so they can make the right decision.
Right.
So maybe a business isn't the right fit for somebody, but at least they can look at it before they drive there, get out of their car, get to the front door, and then realize, I can't. It's a good example, beaches. So they've got those rollout. I don't even know what they call them. They put them on the beach, so a wheelchair user can go out onto the beach. So not all beaches have them, and I would say quite a few of them don't have them. You could spend 3 hours on a nice Saturday in the summer trying to find a beach that has one of those.
Wow.
Well, if all the beaches were registered on here, somebody could just go Holland, Michigan beach. Boom, here's the 4 beaches. Look at them really quick. Oh, that's the one we need to go to. They just save 3 hours.
Wow.
And so we've made it super affordable. It's $29 a month or $299 a year to register a business on here, and then they control their profile.
Okay.
So they can change stuff out as they want. So we always just say, hey, who controls your Google business profile, or who runs your Facebook page? So when you guys change your hours in the winter, who gets on your Facebook page and changes the hours? We'll just have them do this.
So they just log in. They have this. Okay.
So there's an email login that they have. It kicks them a code into that email, and then they log in and they see the backside of this, and it's super easy. It's like you're just filling in little boxes, text boxes, and click here to upload. And
that's cool.
But version 2 is going to be so much easier. So what we've run into is,
do you think you'll launch this as an app?
I don't know if we'll do an app. I'm not really sure. I wish Megan was sitting next to me to kind of, this is her baby. Like, this is what she does full time, and I'm kind of the Able Eyes virtual tour guy now. So this is what she spends all her time on is AbleVu.
Okay.
I don't know what the plans are for an app. It might not be. Everybody's got so many apps now.
Yeah.
And it's like you can just put the little link as long as it's a website that's what's the word I'm looking for?
Accessible.
Well, accessible, but it's mobile friendly, I guess. Which all websites are now. Like, who's making one that's not?
Yeah, I mean, you could save it as an app.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're doing. One of the things that I guess it's not data, but feedback we've gotten or that we found is it's pretty easy to do this, to put your stuff on there, but business owners are very busy.
Right.
So we're trying to figure out what's the best way to help these business owners when they register to get all that information on there quickly. So, we're looking into AI. We are also looking at a program where we have people all over the place that are going into businesses and taking photos while they're there. Megan's got lots of connections in the disability network.
Wow.
And there's a lot of people that are excited to go out, and if they're at a restaurant, take a few pictures and add them to the profile, and then they can hit a button and it'll submit it to the business owner, who then sees it and goes, "Oh, cool.
Oh,
All I have to do is hit approve it,"
right, right.
instead of them having to upload it and take the photos.
That's cool.
So we really want to make it so the profiles are fantastic and they've got all the information that people would be looking for. Yeah, but version 2, so we're in like I said, we're in the middle of capital raise for this right now, and this is the first time we've ever done that.
Wow.
So it's not easy.
Yeah.
But we've got investors, and we're looking for more. We're raising $750,000
Wow.
and we've got it all broken down by percentages of what's going to what, and development for new website and marketing and
Cool.
all the kind of stuff.
So is it just you and your wife that do this?
Yeah. So we have a team that's also in partnership with us when we launched AbleVu, and those guys are down in Florida. So she's got that team that she works with. So
Okay.
she doesn't get on and do the website stuff. Like, she just sends something through our channel and says, "Hey, this needs to be updated. We need to do this." And then they take care of it. We've got like
That's cool.
a chief marketing officer that she works pretty closely with, that he's got a lot of good ideas on stuff. Megan's just kind of I hate the word expert. There's so many people who are like, the expert.
Right,
But
right.
she's our expert on, she knows so much. Like, this has been her life for the last 25 years.
Wow.
So she's the brains behind everything. And then we've got all these other people that are tech people and
That's cool.
marketing people, and that she can lean on and ask questions, and they can brainstorm. And
Right.
she's just kind of driving the ship with, we need to do this and we need to have this. And then they come up with, okay, well, how about if we do it this way? Or what if we do it, So
That's cool.
she's got some smart people helping her.
That's very cool. That is I would assume very, very beneficial. So cool.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like doing the virtual tours, and it's cool, right? You're helping people. It's a local business. We kind of travel around Michigan. We'll do northern Indiana and Illinois or whatever, but this could have a massive impact.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, massive.
Right.
And we envision this really, really taking off.
Do you guys have any competition or anything like that? Is there other people that do this?
So there's a few companies out there. I look at them though, and I'm like, I mean, I don't have to be mean, but
Right.
I just don't think that the model that they have is gonna be successful.
Okay.
Like, a lot of it is, they have a website that they just think people are just gonna upload stuff to,
Mm.
and it's like, well,
Who's gonna do
who's
that?
gonna do
What's
that?
the benefit of doing it?
Yeah, I mean, how do they know about you, or
Right.
how is there's no sales team, or there's no affiliate marketing program, or there's there's nothing out there driving it.
Right.
So,
right.
you look at, I found one day, and it's been there for 4 or 5 years, and it has 5 profiles on it. And it's because they just think people are just going to do it. And
Right.
it's not going to.
Right.
Nobody ever just built a website and let it just sit there.
Right.
But there's some other companies that are doing some, I wouldn't say similar things to us, but I think that there's going to be a lot of good partnerships with companies. There's a company that does accessible travel booking.
Oh, cool.
We don't do bookings. So what we envision is, once we grow and we're all over the place,
Just partner.
we'll be a partner with them.
Mhm.
We'll, maybe there'll be some type of link on our website to go to their website to, there'll be partnerships. And
Right.
we have a partnership with I don't know if they're the largest, but one of the largest virtual tour companies in the United States.
Wow.
We own a virtual tour company,
Yeah.
but we're also partnered with another virtual tour company.
Wow.
If there's a bunch of stuff out in California, we want to get it done, and we want to get it done right. So we're just going to
Yeah.
reach out to them. They have a huge network
Very
of
cool.
photographers. So
Wow.
there's tons of partnership things that we're working on. But I think this eventually could be like the hub. And then you can get your accessibility information for the business that you're looking to go to. And then you could maybe, I want some accessible clothing. Like, maybe we have a marketplace over there for that. And,
Right.
it's just like, we've got ideas out there where, because at the end of the day, a business has to make money.
Yeah.
Or it won't exist, right? I mean, we
Right.
have to make money. And it's a large market. one one out of 4 people in the United States have a disability now, that's a huge percentage, 25%. So
Like physical disability?
physical or an invisible.
Okay.
So like autism
Okay.
or anxiety or PTSD.
Anxiety is considered a disability?
Yeah, because there are people that are so anxious that they won't leave their home.
Oh, okay, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. There's varying levels of everything.
Right.
But yeah, so if businesses don't start to take it seriously, at the end of the day, their bottom line is going to start to get hurt because that's a very high percentage. And I hate to talk money in this,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, a business has to make money.
Right.
And if they're not serving and taking care of their customers, they're going to start losing customers.
Right.
And so there's there's a huge need for this in the world, and we see it and we see where we're going, which is it's not easy to get there.
Right. Well, I mean, you are an extremely motivated person. You don't take no for an answer, and that's the one thing that you need to be successful is the drive to not give up. And you have that. You have the discipline, you have the motivation, and like you're inspired. That's the most important thing.
You should see my wife. I mean, this is her life. Like this is
Is she just as disciplined in like fitness and health and all that as well?
she's she's super fit and healthy.
Yeah.
She's dialed back a little bit. She doesn't go to
She's not as
she's
crazy
not
as you.
100 to 0. She doesn't just go all the way up. But yeah, she fitness every single day, typically eats very healthy. Um, but yeah, this is like what she was born to do, is
Wow.
to do this. So like
She should be here.
you should have her on.
I'll have her on.
But no, like you she's so passionate about it.
That's
Like
awesome.
I think it's super cool because I like helping people.
Right.
Like that's what I want to do, is I want to
Yeah.
like grow community and help people. And
Yeah.
but like this is everything to her. This is everything.
Wow.
I mean,
That's
she
awesome.
works, when you talk like starting a business is hard.
Yeah.
I bet she works 80 to 90 hours a week.
Oh my gosh.
Like the whole drive to soccer this morning, she was on her computer working the whole way and the
Wow.
whole way back. So every time we're in the vehicle going back and forth to different stuff, she's working. There's a lot of nights like, hey, it's time to go to bed. Yeah, put the computer away and let's go to bed.
Yeah, I mean, those are the beautiful times though, because then when it does fully get to where you want it to be, then you're like, wow, I remember the grind. I remember putting in those hours. We were talking about that at the beginning. Like you remember those moments that got you to the point where you're at, that got you to the dance.
But that's what makes it awesome.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people want to skip that part. And then when they get there, it's like the person that wins the lottery. It's like super awesome for like a year until all their money's gone and they just were like
Right.
just blew it on being crazy. But they didn't earn that.
Right.
They don't have that satisfaction of looking back and going, "Oh my gosh, remember we had $25 left in the bank that one time?"
Right.
And then we get another job and like, oh my gosh, we can buy food this week. Because that's like what a lot of people go through,
Yeah.
and people don't see it because nobody goes around like, hey guys, it's really tough right now and we just don't have any money.
I see a lot of that, but
Yeah. People tell you about it.
you just see it on social media.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think it's always like, how's business going? It's going awesome. I mean, I would say it's going awesome if I was like, well, I've only got $5 left.
Right.
If
Right.
I don't get a new contract next week, we're in big trouble.
Right.
But people go through that.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
makes it, like, when you look back, you're like, oh, that was awesome.
Well, that's what builds you. That's what builds your mental, I guess, strength, your ability to keep grinding, the ability to want to continue to be successful because you remember what got you there. You remember all the hard work that got you there. Like if you were just given like $1 billion to start a business, you're not going to appreciate that. But
No,
but if you had to work hard for those investors to want to invest into your business because they believe in what you're doing, your passion and your hard work and your ability to make something successful, then you're more than likely going to continue making that successful.
how many people do you see that are, born into some celebrity family? And some people are super awesome and they've done awesome things, but there's a lot of people that their lives are in ruins
Right.
because they never had to experience struggle,
Yeah.
and they just were comfortable all the time, and they just don't know what to do with life. They have no mission or
Right.
purpose or anything. They're just there and they've never had to go through anything hard and push through. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's the 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 time Rogan was talking about, just imagine there's a film crew following you around, filming your documentary of your life, like showing all the hard things. And like, that's what's cool. Nobody would want to watch just hey, here's $1 billion and
Right.
you know, you
Right.
just sit here.
Yeah.
That's not.
I think it's important to, and we kind of we're kind of going back to like the whole fitness thing, but like doing things that are hard. Because like for me, my whole life has been hard. Like growing up was hard. Like I was in foster care, adopted, all that. Like it was all hard. Um, a young adult trying to make it on my own. I moved out when I was 17. All hard. Got a good job at GM, making good money. Life becomes easier. Life's still slightly hard, but now my life is easy as far as like money wise. Like none of that is really a concern. So I have to now seek things that are hard. I
Yeah.
have to find things that will make my life harder. And like for one, the cold plunge every single day is hard. Like it's a fear. And that's one thing I've come to realize is like getting in that cold plunge is a daily fear because your body goes into flight or fight mode. You're like, am I going to not do this or am I going to do it? And every single day I do it. But like it's seeking those hard things that continue to push you forward in all your goals and ambitions. And it makes everything so much more worth it.
And I think you also need to realize that like doing those hard things, hard is different for everybody. So, you know, some people are like, man, I had a really hard life. And then if you were like, hey, jump in the car with me, and you drove down to Grand Avenue in Detroit,
Mm,
and you're like, no, let's turn down this road here. You don't have anything hard. You
right.
never had anything hard.
Right.
See that little kid right there?
Yeah.
You know, I mean that can be hard.
Right.
Um, but I love the stories of seeing those people that have gone through like the really, really, really hard
Yep.
and then become successful. I love those
I
ones.
love those stories
Yeah.
as well. And
But there's always a degree of hard. Like the hardest thing in somebody's life is the hardest thing in somebody's life.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
like if their Wi-Fi is not working today, it's like, it's ridiculous. And you're throwing stuff and you're mad, like your computer won't work. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Somebody
mean,
doesn't have a computer.
yeah, they don't have Wi-Fi, man. You know,
Right. Yeah.
there's all different sorts of hard. So but it's good to push yourself into those spots.
Yeah.
So then when you do hit something that's a little bit more difficult, you've already
You know how to navigate it.
you don't have to go through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an important part. That's an important thing to know that, there's different levels of hard. Everybody's life is different. So that's something that I've come to realize when I started doing the podcast. I'm like, man, my life sucked. Like I thought like I mean, like everybody I talk to is like, man, your life is like hard. Like the things that you went through like was shitty. But then I sit down and I talk to other people who had like even shittier lives. And
Yeah.
I'm like, my life is nothing. Like I'm doing great. Like as far as like the things that I went through, like it didn't seem as bad.
Yeah.
Like I had a guy on who was shot 5 times, shot 4 times in the head and once in the chest, and he lived. And
Yeah.
his life is hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I was having coffee with a buddy of mine. I can call him a buddy, I think. I'm not gonna say his name, but I think a lot of people know the story. He saw his parents get murdered and then he was shot when he was a kid.
Wow.
And like, dude, that's like this like I can't even like anything that I've had to go through is nowhere even
Yeah.
near that, you know?
Right.
And he runs a very successful business now and has a great family and has a bunch of kids and grandkids and
I think I know who you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably. But yeah, I mean, like I was like, dude, you like that's way more difficult than anything I've
Yeah.
ever experienced.
I actually just heard about that guy's story recently. I went to Ellie's place,
Yeah.
and they gave me a tour,
Yeah.
and I heard about that. I'm like, what's interesting about this? I met that guy. I bought a bike from him.
Really?
Yeah, off of Facebook Marketplace, and then he offered me a job. But so I kind of just knew him, and then they told me about his story, and I was like, no way, I never knew that about him. But he's such a nice guy.
Oh yeah.
And
Awesome guy.
what's even crazy about this is a common theme with a lot of people that have gone through things that are difficult like that is they don't allow those moments to define them. they use them as motivation for their success. They use it as motivation to try to be better and to not allow themselves to get in the same place that they were.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's done a lot for Ellie's Place, which is a
yeah,
great organization.
yeah. That's an awesome place. I actually need to have them on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to schedule that. But
Have you talked to Christine or Dawn?
it was Dawn.
Yeah.
Dawn gave me the tour, and
Yeah.
then I'm talking. I'm in the middle of talking with them to have who's the director of the place.
Christine.
Christine. Yeah, she's going to come on the podcast, and then I'm thinking about going and doing like a video tour, kind of like a vlogger type of thing, like of Ellie's Place, because
Yeah.
I think it just needs to be known like what they do there, and it's a really cool facility.
Yeah, if you do that, make sure you let me know because we have the virtual tour
Okay.
of Ellie's Place and we can embed video and stuff into those tours.
Oh, cool.
So I know she was gonna do just like some short intro videos and just some different stuff that we're gonna put in there.
Okay.
But if that fits, we can embed that stuff into the virtual tour as well, which would be kind of cool. So it's in there, so anybody could just like be walking around and bloop, the little hotspot pops up and you click it, and then you can
Oh, cool.
go do that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you and I will have to talk about that because I have some other stuff too that I'm working on.
Cool.
But is there anything else? Do we even go in for like an hour and 16 minutes?
Yeah.
This is fun.
Dude, I can talk forever. once I realized, or once I forgot that we're recording and we're like out there,
right?
It's so much better.
Yeah, you just don't even think about it.
No,
I don't think about it. Right now we don't have anybody watching, but people will go back and watch it for sure. Yeah, dude, this was a lot of fun. I think I think your business is going to be successful. I mean, you're making waves and in locally, I can see locally. And then obviously there's a huge need for it nationally, especially with the way technology is going and it's so advanced now. And I feel like, especially for small businesses, they're kind of behind the 8 ball on like the advancement of everything.
Yeah, for sure.
And this would be one way to advance their business, to open it up to a whole new demographic.
Well, and here's one more thing to think about. So when I say 1 of 4 has a disability, so let's say you own a restaurant, you don't just lose that one person, you also lose the 6 people that were eating with them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, businesses got to think about it. Like, how can we serve all of our customers and make them all super comfortable? But at the end of the day, it's a business and they're trying to make money. So I think smart businesses are thinking like, these are the types of things I need to be doing, or I'm going to start turning away a large percentage of the population, which then you're not going to make money. And then you don't stay open anymore.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a huge need. And yeah, I mean, if you're in a group of people and you're trying to take somebody out in a wheelchair who, you want to celebrate something with a family, and you can't go to a restaurant because they can't get a wheelchair through the door, or whatever, you're not going to go to that place.
Yep. Megan said they probably would go to the 4 or 5 same places when they're at Central when she was with Jess.
Wow.
Because those were the ones they knew that they could get into and they were comfortable in.
Right.
Now, if they could have seen a bunch of other places, they probably would have went to different places,
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they just didn't.
Wow. Yeah, and that's something you don't think about, like being somebody that I guess is able-bodied, or where you don't have to think about like what the environment's going to be like. I don't think about those things when I go places, but there's a large amount of people that do have to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple things too. It's like, how high is the paper towel dispenser? If it's too high and somebody is a wheelchair user, they might not be able to reach the paper towel. And it's like so easy. It's like, oh, okay, we're just gonna move this.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's probably like 2 screws in the wall.
Right.
And it's not that they're doing it intentionally at all.
Yeah.
They just they didn't think about it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we want to do, is have it as almost an educational thing for people. It's like, there's a lot of like super simple things that don't cost you anything.
Right.
You could move the trash can and it makes it more accessible for someone.
Do you think it would be beneficial for you guys to like offer some sort of like educational, like the do's and don'ts for like disabilities? Like people like how, like if you like if a business came to you and they're like, hey, we want you to like we want to have our services on your website, but can you show us like
Yep.
what we need to do? Do you guys offer some sort of educational
Yep.
program?
Megan's done she does like consulting, or she does talks for associations where she'll do 20 things to make your business more accessible that are all very simple things that probably don't cost money or cost very little money. You know, I mean, she's
Yeah.
not saying like blow the wall out and do this thing. I mean, it's very
Right.
practical things. She's doing I think she's doing a consultation for a hotel here soon, where they asked her to come and walk around with her with
Wow.
them and say, "Hey, what can we do?" 'Cause she did it. She did one for. Oh man, I hope I don't mess this up. It was either the new Hyatt or the new AC Marriott, the two that are next to each other.
Okay. In East Lansing.
Yeah, the university right
Yep.
there where like Toscana is, and
Yep.
um, she did it for one of the two. They're owned by the same company, so I guess I'm not really, but, but she did it for one of those two. This last fall, she
Okay.
did kind of some consulting for them, and then she's supposed to do another one coming up soon. So I think that's going to be a new type of thing that she's looking at, is maybe doing some local consulting on for businesses that want to have her come in and just give
That's cool.
some tips and pointers and some ideas that they
Yeah.
could do to implement that are pretty straightforward and easy, that they could literally do within like today. You just
Right.
do it today.
Right.
Just let's move that thing. Or
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, because you don't think about like the different things that, like you said, the paper towel thing.
couldn't have thought
Like,
about.
I don't think about that.
Mm-mm. Or how far is the soap dispenser?
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the bathroom is probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah. So
Being able to access a bathroom.
that's one thing that when Megan first started doing the virtual tours with AbleEyes, is she looked at other companies. They typically don't go into the bathroom. Now, I'm not saying that nobody does, but they usually stop there.
Nobody
We
wants to see it.
we go in.
Okay.
I carry door stops with me, and I prop doors, and boom, I go in and I open up the stalls, and we go into the stalls, so you can see all that stuff. You can see what the sink situation looks like, and you can see where the hand dryer is or the paper towel, and so people can just make their own decision.
Wow. How long does it take you to go through and do a virtual tour of a place?
Shortest I've ever done is probably 15-20 minutes.
Okay.
And then what's the largest? I would say the largest is the Detroit Zoo.
Oh my gosh.
So, and that's only 2/3 done. So they are still doing construction on over by where the wolves are outside. So there's still another phase that needs to be done there. I'm gonna say the zoo. I bet I was on site for 3, 4 full days.
Wow.
I've got over 800 panoramic photos. So how a virtual tour is, it's a bunch of panoramic photos stitched together.
Okay.
So I think I've got over 800 and some panoramic photos
Wow.
all over the zoo. And then you have to stitch those all together.
Wow. That's a lot of work. So you almost have to remember like step for step.
So you have to
Like,
be very with a tour that large, you got to really break it down into chunks. So you're going to stitch maybe this one little building, and you're just going to move 15 panoramas over, and you're going to put those together, and then you're going to find the next 15.
wow.
So you want to do everything in order.
Yep.
And then when you upload, you're trying to keep everything very straight, and like, because if you get off and you don't know where you're at,
Right.
I mean, you could be on a path and connect the wrong path to it, and
Oh,
you wouldn't even know it.
it's like a terrible puzzle.
Especially there too, because it's not straight. Nothing's straight
Right.
and 90-degree angles. You're like walking on curves and over and then through trees, and
Wow.
yeah, it's that I bet I had, I don't know, there's a lot of time into that one. That's just back on the computer too. Doing the editing is crazy.
How long does it take you to edit something generally?
It depends. I mean, it really depends on the size of the place. I bet I have well over 40 hours just stitching photos trying to stitch photos together, plus
Oof.
another week or so on site, and then you got to walk through it again, and then you're doing edits still to it. I mean, it's
So what is the typical turnaround rate? Like if a business were to hire you tomorrow, what is the typical turnaround rate?
we usually tell them a couple weeks. Now we have a customer in Michigan State that is it's the Lookout Gallery. It's an art gallery, and they have a show coming up, and they're like, "All right, we open on May 15th. We'd like to have this done as soon as possible, so we can have it on the website because they have it ready the morning of, and then I think they open it up maybe that evening.
Whoa.
So it's like, okay, what time do you have it ready? Let me come in and get that done. I'll put that one to the front of the list and get it done. Most of the
Right.
time, there isn't anything that's super hot.
Right.
You know, when I'm filming stuff, they haven't had one done anyways, and they've been open for 50 years. So
Whoa.
what's the difference between me giving it to you tomorrow or next week?
Right.
But it just depends on how many we have in the queue too. I mean,
Right. That makes
how
sense.
many do we have going? We've got a large one at Michigan State coming up it'll take a significant amount of time. I did 5 buildings at Central Michigan over Christmas break.
Wow.
I was up there for a week, and then we're still not. I think we have 2 of the 5 approved. I'm still waiting on 3 of them to.
Do you plan on hiring anybody?
I will once we are to the point where we need to.
Yeah.
That's one thing I learned in my magazine business is don't hire until you're like, I can't keep up with everything right
Right.
here.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to bring people on at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hiring's then I could talk about hiring for how much time we got here.
We have all the time in the
Yeah.
world, really.
But it's hiring is a different beast, especially with this because it's pretty like
It's
there's not
skill based.
when there's never many people doing it, so it's not like you might be able to find people. Probably what you want to do is you want to find somebody through like one of those virtual somebody that's done this before.
Right.
You know, they could
Right.
be in California,
Yep.
and I can just give them access to the tour, and they could get in and edit it. So you probably want to find
Yeah.
somebody that's already trained.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
How did you get trained to do this?
I kind of taught myself. Megan showed me, and then I just like failed and kept. I got mad at it and just kept doing it until I'm actually pretty good at it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went in and reevaluated our pricing for 24 actually. And I was like, I'm a lot better at this now. So
You're more efficient.
yeah, I'm way more efficient. So I actually was able to lower the prices a little bit, which most people are doing it the other way. Like the prices
Right.
are going up.
Right.
I'm like, dude, I'm so much better at this. Like I don't need to charge this much to do it because I can do this so much faster now. So I'm
Wow.
trying my best to keep the prices as fair as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you get your skill set from? Did you go to college?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go?
Went to Elma.
Okay.
Yeah. I think my skill set all comes from athletics.
Really?
Just learning to just battle and fight. And I played soccer at Mason High School, and it's one of the best programs in the state. And I won a state championship there, and just like had a coach that was like, if I tell you to run through that brick wall, you're gonna run through the brick wall. And we're all like, we're running through the brick wall. He like brainwashed us into just like, let's go. And that's just I think I learned a lot from just playing
Right.
for people that didn't accept anything less than you're just gonna fly through that wall.
Yeah.
Like I think when he had his Hall of Fame speech, he was talking about, he's like, we didn't have the most talented kids. He's like, but we had kids that if I said run through that wall, they'd look at me and go, how big of a hole do you want in it?
I think
it's just a grind mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, we were not the best team that won the state championship.
Wow.
We were the team that was like, dude, you're not going to beat us. Like, I will dive face first to stop you from shooting the ball.
Just
like
pure grit.
Yeah. Like whatever it takes. Like a ball
Yeah.
comes in, I'm taking 15 people into the net. Like everybody's coming, the ball's coming, we're all going in, like whatever. And if it's a foul, I'm doing it again the next time until it's not called. Like,
Right.
We're
Right.
gonna score.
That's something that I think is missing from today's generation is that grit, the ability to, well, for one, having somebody in your life like that who's just like, I'm not going to accept anything other than like a high performing. I want a high performance from you.
Yeah.
Having somebody who expects a lot from you teaches you a lot, and then having that whole experience. I mean, you can. I mean, obviously, like you had said, you use that in your daily ambitions and everything.
Yeah. You just have that. I know that I can win,
Right.
because I've
And
done it when I shouldn't have.
and what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah. Who cares?
Right.
But you also got to get rid of the who cares what anybody thinks,
Right. Exactly.
which is hard. But
Yeah.
if somebody, what's the quote somebody said is somebody, what is it? Somebody that's doing better than you, something along the lines of people that are doing better than you will never criticize you.
It's true.
You know, like somebody that's crushing it isn't going to come to you and be like, "Hey, that's stupid what you're doing." Like
Right.
that's they're not going to do that.
No. No, if anything, they'll offer advice
Yeah.
and be like, "Hey, I recommend you do it this way."
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
they're going to like see that like, "Hey, you're on the right path. Let's go, dude.
Right.
Like keep going."
Yeah.
Like who cares what everybody else tells you? They're
Yeah.
all sitting at home on Netflix.
It's so true. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that before the podcast is, the haters, the people that put negative comments on things, the people that talk negatively on social media. Those are all people. And this is actually, I want to talk about this because there's a girl that I've had on the podcast. Her name's
I got a little cramp.
Her name's Autumn Clifford, and she does a podcast. It's called she just rebranded. It's called She's an Asset. But I met her at a like a motivational speaking event a couple years ago in Chicago. And she apparently last year started getting bullied like tremendously on social media.
Hmm.
Like she's a cop that had gotten injured on the job, and so she had to like was forced into like retirement. And so now she started her own coaching business. She's like I think she coaches like people professionally, like for their businesses and whatnot. And then she teaches people martial arts and self defense. Are you all right?
Yeah, I got like an ab cramp. You just stand up and
Need some salt or
yeah,
something?
just stretch out here a little bit. Done stretches before the podcast, I guess.
And she had posted something on social media the other day about how people were bullying her, and it was like one of the most horrific things she had experienced. People were like making up lies, and one thing I had commented on her post, and I had said, you're doing great for one. For two, those are all people who are losers. Those are people who have nothing else to do. They're bored and they are just looking to just entertain themselves. That's literally all it is. They're people that are unsuccessful and unhappy with their life.
Yeah. And it's not the word loser like I'm making fun of you, like you're a
No,
loser. It's like they're not doing anything.
exactly.
And their whole life is to find people and attack them
Right.
and like try to take their joy away from their
Because it
life.
makes them in some way happier,
Yeah.
which it doesn't. But
But I think that they've done studies on like the dopamine and stuff that like people get addicted to being nasty and it gives them
right.
the same like reaction or the feel of being happy.
Right.
That's why you just see this like nastiness online.
Yep.
It's like people that aren't happy are like, I still got to get that rush somehow. So just scream at people. And it's like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
No. I mean, I guess we're like fortunate enough to where like I mean, Facebook was a thing when I was in high school, like towards the end. Um, but I never really had to worry about like bullying on
Oh,
social media.
yeah.
And now it's horrific.
Well, the kids
But
can't, if a kid has a bad day at school, they used to be able to just go home.
you shake it off.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you just go home. I mean, maybe that's not awesome, but it's better than going home. And nowadays you get home and you open up your phone and now the kid's sending you messages over there or like making fun of you on there. And it's like,
Right.
and that's what the kids are doing is they're sitting on there.
Yep.
So it's just 24/7, just nasty. They just can't get away from it.
Right. Yeah. Have you ever listened to or read Jonathan Haidt's book about that?
Mm-mm.
That's a good book.
What's it called?
It's called The Coddling of the American Mind.
Mm-mm.
He Travis and I had a conversation about this. Travis doesn't necessarily agree with Jonathan Haidt, but I do. I think Jonathan Haidt has a really good point. Right around, I think it was 2010, like whenever Facebook became a thing and iPhones, like the rise of iPhones and Facebook, is when depression and suicide in young girls started taking place.
Like
Uh,
just really ramping
it
up big
ramped
time.
up.
Yeah.
Yep. And they attributed that to bullying online and how girls internalized that and ended up committing suicide more often. Um, and I don't remember where I was going with that. That's a problem with podcasts. Sometimes I just lose my train of
Well,
thought.
we were talking about the book, and then how social media kids can't escape.
Right.
So
And
they're, they go home and they're still getting bullied. They can't
yeah,
get away from those people.
yeah. And so that right around that time is when all that started ramping up. And I don't know. I don't know how you mitigate that. Like as a parent, like how do you? I mean, you should know. You have like a 15-year-old. Like how do you manage that?
We have 14 and 17.
14 and
I don't,
17. Wow.
yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Do you put limitations on social media?
No.
But your kids do hard things. Your son is obviously pretty confident in himself. He is in wrestling
Yeah.
and he does the cold plunge.
He's
He
probably he might be
works out.
he might be crazier. Like people the dude's a lunatic. Let's just be honest. I mean, he gets up and gets in the cold plunge at 14 years old when it's 0 degrees outside.
Oh my gosh.
And then he goes upstairs and gets ready for school, goes to school. He'll go to wrestling practice, come home. I've seen him do 3 workouts in an evening,
Oh,
like where he's lifted, done wrestling, and then did speed and agility at like a different place. I mean,
wow.
he's insane. That kid, but he wants to be successful.
Right.
Like that's he went from, so this is only his third year wrestling. He wrestled in 4th grade, took 5th, 6th off. It was like the COVID stuff, and he's like, I'm not wrestling with a mask and stuff like that. Started back in 7th grade, and let's just be honest, he kind of got whooped a little bit. Dude, he came back and he's beaten kids and whooped them. that whooped him a year ago.
Wow.
And he's lost matches because he's wrestling some really good kids. But like I told him, I'm like, dude, you're going the distance with some of these kids and you're losing.
Mm-hmm.
But that kid would have pinned you in 10 seconds last year.
Wow.
10 seconds.
Wow.
And he just like, he'll come back from, I mean, he's got scars all over him. He's got bruises. We went over to a friend's house a couple months ago and he's lifting when we left the house. We got home 2.5 hours later and I can hear the metal downstairs hanging together. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I challenged myself. I was going to work out until you got home, no matter how long you were gone.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you?
You're a psychopath.
He is. Yep. Yep. So that kid's crazy. So I don't know. Like he's just pretty mentally strong. And the other one, Colin, I don't know. I don't think he has any issues that we've seen. He's
Do you think
he's a pretty successful kid. He's been an all-state football player as a kicker, a soccer player. He's all-state. He's had a pretty good group of friends. I haven't seen anything. Not to say that there aren't
right
issues and stuff like that. We're pretty good at being really open with the kids. And I think that they come to us and tell us stuff sometimes that you're just like, man, most kids wouldn't tell their parents that.
right
But they just feel pretty comfortable telling us stuff. So
that's cool. That's important.
But we haven't really done anything. So I don't know. I mean, we do have, Megan has an app that she can see everything that's on their social media stuff. So she can just literally be like, I'm in their Instagram account right now.
Oh.
So they know that that's there.
Right.
But I don't know.
I was just curious to know, like, if their habits, they're working out, because like I know, like for me, like working out and cold plunging, all that stuff helps me like mentally, and it helps me just kind of brush off most things. Like it makes me stronger as a person.
Yeah.
It's kind of the foundation of who I am. I was just curious to know how that affects a young person.
Yeah, I don't know. Carter's the one doing all that crazy stuff. He doesn't seem to have a whole lot of issues. I think the more busy you are too, and the more things you're focused on, you just don't care about other stuff.
Right.
And I know Colin said that, like our older one, like something will happen with, let's just say a friend or something happened with something. He's like, I don't know. I don't really care.
I don't got time for that shit.
You don't care? He's like, I don't care.
Oh.
I mean, he's he's got to go to practice next. He's got
Right.
then he's got to go to workout, and then he's got another practice, and then he's got to do this. And so I don't know. I think the more busy you are, the less you care about little
Right.
things. Where if you don't have
Right.
anything going on,
Yeah, that's
then
when
you just like stew on it, and it's just in
right.
your brain, and it just gets stuck there. And
Yeah.
then you make up a story that wasn't even real.
Yeah, and then that's how you end up bullying people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I wish I had like a good answer on that. I don't know. I've listened to some of these podcasts with people, and people are all over the place, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. It can actually be a good thing. I think the social media stuff, like Carter, the youngest one, is always showing me he's a huge David Goggins guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's so funny. He's like all the time, hey, look at this one, look at this one, and I'm dying laughing. So he's very uses it as a positive thing.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely use it as a good thing.
Yeah.
But I would guess that majority of people don't.
I mean, yeah, majority of people don't. That's the problem. The thing is though, you can use it for positive
Oh,
because I mean, it's
heck
all
yeah.
it's all algorithm based. So,
Yeah.
if you're looking up things like David Goggins or like motivational videos, Jocko or
Yeah.
whatever, then you're going to see those kind of things and then you're going to be like, I'm going to get after it too because of them.
Yeah.
And whereas like if you're just seeing, you know, whatever, the people freaking out on people beating people up in the streets and
Yeah.
picking on homeless people, like of course, like that's what you're going to start seeing, and you're more than likely going to start implementing those things as a young person.
Yeah. And I think that it changes how they see the world too.
Yeah.
So if you just see that, like the algorithm kicking you out that stuff, well, then you think, sure, that's happening. But there's also 8 billion people.
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I mean that and it's horrible if that happened to somebody, but
Yep.
that's not happening everywhere. I've never seen that.
No.
And I'm like, hey,
No.
just shut it off. Look around. Have you ever seen that?
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean we don't go, okay, how can we make things better and try to help people? But
Right.
that's not what's happening everywhere.
No.
It's not.
No. It's not.
But your algorithm is trying to tell you that it's happening
right.
everywhere and everything's on fire right now.
Sometimes it feels like it. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to, to kind of grasp onto those kind of things, the motivating things, the things that make you better as a person. And that's what I try to do, I guess, with like my content is to just try to make a positive change in the world. Whether, it's like a lot of people will give me crap for posting like my workouts or my cold plunging in my community group, but I'm like, I don't do it for me. Honestly,
No.
I don't. I do it because I have so many people that reach out and say that's inspiring. Because of me getting in that cold plunge, a friend of mine takes a cold shower every single day.
Yep. So, and they don't see that though.
No.
So they send you like, hey, why are you posting that, dude? Like, you just trying to make yourself look cool or something? You're like, no, dude, you don't know how many people have reached out. But I don't say that because I'm not doing it for the attention. But like,
right.
Dude, I get to say like it's not like overwhelming, like I'm changing millions of people's lives. But
No.
I was talking to somebody this week. They're like, oh my gosh, I just got a cold plunge after watching your stuff. And they were like, I'll get a message. Like somebody will just text me out of the blue and be like, hey man, dude, I love that quote that you put on there this morning.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if one person's like, let's go today, like
right.
I'm gonna be awesome today.
Right.
Then that was worth it. I don't care what the other 2,500 people
it doesn't
think.
matter.
Like I don't care.
No, it doesn't matter.
And if that makes you mad, like just hit the block button, dude.
Right.
Like,
don't follow it.
Unfollow. Like it's pretty easy.
Right.
You control it.
Right.
There's an off button on the TV. You can change the channel. There's an unfollow button. Like just remove it. Don't let positive people make you mad.
And the thing is too, what's funny about that is the only reason why you're mad about somebody being positive is because you're not doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only reason.
No. Your buddy that got up at 5 a.m. and went on a 15-mile run and then lifted, didn't look at that and go, oh, I hate that guy.
It's so true. That's so true. Well, Evan, we're an hour and 45 minutes into this thing.
Perfect.
This is a lot of fun. We will definitely do this again.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, no, I love doing the podcast and I love meeting people that are also like-minded. I feel like we're pretty similar in a lot of things, with our ideas and our just our habits and everything. So it's pretty cool to bond. But yeah. So is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
No, just thanks for having me. It was super fun. First podcast. Now it's done.
Absolutely.
Now now I'm comfortable, and yeah, no, I appreciate it, man.
I always tell everybody it takes an hour to feel comfortable on the podcast, and then anything past that is just like you're just chilling.
Yeah.
That's seriously what it is. Like we probably should have gotten food or something before this for an hour, and then do a podcast, because then that's when it gets good. But
No, it's awesome. Appreciate it.
yep, absolutely. And website and everything that will be in the show notes. So
Cool.
social media, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yep. Thank you. See you, everybody.